He just liable to be standing there singing, and he'd walk over and look out the window. Or he'll come back and he'd sing a word or two. It didn't matter. Every time he took a notion, he'd just sing.
Walk right off.
Yeah. Just walk right off and look out. Just seems nothing going on. I know Sarah has told him a lot of times, AP, why don't you sing when you're supposed to? He said, well, I'll get in there. Don't worry about me. I'll be there. He'd come in on about the second or third note and sing a while, and then he'd quit, and he'll come in again. But I guess that's one thing that made people take more notice to his singing, you know, listening to it closer and everything is what he was doing. Because everybody always has something to say about AP.
Yeah, Dole Baxter always said that's the reason. She liked to hear us sing that Anchored in Love Divine, said AP really had to get up and
yeah, he has to get up and work in that
work in that one.
What was you were telling us some of those stories he said before the songs. We were discussing on the way up here the way that shows were put on, you know, and
You better watch what you're saying. That thing's hot.
Is that right?
might get burned up.
No, you know, AP used to tell a little story. What was it before? I believe it was Wandering Boy that you used to, you know, you used to do, and he'd tell this little story about, and he'd almost cry every time.
Yeah, but I don't remember.
I don't remember what it was. I was telling them. I said you might remember it, but I
No.
didn't. Do you remember ever hearing him do it?
Tell little stories, you know.
Tell a little story about the song, you know, and he'd almost wind up crying every time
Yeah.
before we'd start the song.
Yeah, you would.
I believe it was Wandering Boy. Maybe
Yeah, I
tell
heard
it.
that.
I would tell about this, something about the boy wandering away from home. You know.
Yeah, I remember telling but I don't remember what his story was.
I don't either. I can't get it together.
No.
You really got sentimental with it.
Yeah, he really did.
Did you program out what you were going to do ahead of time, or just he would just think of them and then you'd
No, we'd have our programs made off.
work them out? How would you get the bookings from where you were going to play?
Well, he usually got out and got them himself
Yeah,
back
He would
then.
go out.
You remember the time, Sarah, you left me and you to do a show by ourselves, and we went back to Mr. Stipes that night and he was in the bed.
Yeah. Was that down there
Down at the little old school.
where that
somewhere we
woman
played.
got up and introduced one and we was gonna sing Lonesome Day, and she got up and she said, the next number will be Lonesome Dog. Remember that? We laughed so. Lonesome Dog.
Who said this?
It's
Is
the
it
teacher.
The teacher
of
down
the
there that
school.
night. She was helping us
She
with the
was-
show.
Oh,
Because
she
we
was
had never
announcing.
done one by ourselves, and we were green as gourds at, you know, doing anything like that. Well, this thing happened again in Nashville. When we first went down there, somebody called it Lonesome Dog. I know I gave it to, I believe it was VITO to put on the program, you know, one time. And he had put it down on the script, you know, and the announcer read it up, Lonesome Dog. He put his O instead of A.
How would they work those shows? He would go out and find a place, a school, or
School, mostly.
then would they pay you a flat fee or percentage? or-
Percentage. We worked on the percentage mostly when we started, didn't we?
Yeah,
First time.
all the time.
Did they guarantee you so much or anything?
No,
And who did the publicity for the show?
there wasn't very much done. We just had a few little handbills. That was about it.
Did Archie send you each one of those
He
handbills?
sent me one. Yeah,
Didn't have me one.
he sent me a little handbill, Sarah.
Oh
About this big
Yeah, I
of
remember.
a theater. It was
Yeah.
Starlight Theater.
Yeah.
But
he
it
sent
didn't say where it was at, and it said the admission 15 and 25
Yeah,
cents.
yeah,
on
he
it.
sent me one of those.
I was curious how those things, you know, who printed those up or.
Well, I don't know. That's what I didn't know. I was hoping that the town would be on there, but it
Well, I
wasn't.
think it was in Kentucky somewhere where he had those printed. I believe.
I don't know, but he had them printed somewhere where we played this particular theater, because we did have some made out, you know, that we just fill them out. where
Yeah.
we were playing ourselves.
But I believe it
But
was
this
in,
one was printed, all of it,
in
you know.
Kentucky, I believe.
There was some handwriting in it.
The one I was thinking of there, I think it's fine.
Yeah. I think it had the date was handwritten in and a few things like that. I didn't think to bring an extra copy because I knew he had sent them to you.
Yeah, I remember he sent me one.
I don't remember where that theater was at, but it's a Starlight Theater, I remember, I think.
And then every time you played it, he'd pass those things out or post them up himself or...
Post him himself.
Usually just take off side roads and everywhere and just stick them up on, you know, around, or leave them in stores and places like that. Public places.
How early would he start doing this? A few weeks ahead or that day or...
A few weeks ahead, usually.
About 2 weeks.
It's our friends out there again.
Yeah. Because you hear that peacock holler.
Yeah. I had a lot of questions that came up after listening to those transcription discs. I'd like to go through the whole history of how you moved out there and when and why and all that. Maybe you can just...
What year was it we went? It was
We went in
38,
1938 in October. Started work the 1st of October, 1938.
Where from? From Virginia?
From Macy Springs.
but-
Yeah, I don't know exactly how we got the contract, but anyway, it come through Harry O'Neill from Chicago. See, he hired us
Mm-hmm.
and sent us out there. And the first year we worked in Mexico in person, see. I mean, those 6 months. And we had to get passports and all that stuff, which was a lot of trouble, red tape and everything. So we worked over there in person 6 months, and after that we just started cutting these transcriptions and sending them to the stations, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, what, you did a show every day? You do a half-hour show every day for that 6 months?
No, we worked, after we started cutting transcriptions, we worked 3 hours 1 day a week. After the kids started with us, because they were in school, and we worked 3 hours. I think it's Thursday afternoon, wasn't it?
I believe it was.
And we cut 6 30-minute transcriptions.
Before that time, the first 6 months, that meant that every day you had to go
Oh
over
yeah,
there
we
and
had
do
to
a
go
show.
over there every night. We was on an hour, wasn't we?
I think so.
Oh, we were on in person an hour from 9 to 10
Which
every
is
night.
a live show.
A live show, yeah.
What was the reason for moving down to Texas that way? Was it a steadier income or
Well, in fact, it was the first job we'd ever had, you know, on radio after we started recording. It was our first radio show, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When we went to Del Rio in 1938, and we started recording in 27, see.
still it really meant a more stable income for you?
Sure.
It was a lot better
Mhm.
financially.
Yeah, they paid
Yeah.
us by the week, see, a
Mhm.
steady salary a week, every week.
And then when the kids came in, they got their extra
Yeah.
money.
Mhm.
Well, then when they started making the transcriptions, you say at first these were cut someplace and then someplace else.
Well, most of them we cut was in San Antonio, Texas. I mean, the ones we cut to send over, you know, after we quit going over in person.
Yeah, we cut quite a few there in Del Rio, you know, down
Yeah,
there.
we cut some down in
And
Eagle Pass, too, you know.
First you did them live, and then in Del Rio, then in Eagle Pass, then in San Antonio.
That's right.
And there was no difference, it was just that it was a different studio.
Mm-hmm.
Same
Each
time.
change.
Mhm.
Well, who was the announcer?
Harry Steele, when we first started. Harry Steele.
No, Uncle Bill was the first one.
No, when
Then
we
we got-
started in Del Rio.
Yeah, when we started,
In Del Rio. Harry was our announcer, don't you remember? Harry Steele.
I know we had Harry Steele and we had Uncle Bill, too.
Brother Bill.
Brother Bill, rather.
Well, he would come in at San Antonio. Where we cut
Yeah,
with
he
you.
started in San Antonio with us, that's right. Yeah, we had Harry Steele because I remember very well, you know, when we drove to Eagle Pass one day he decided he wanted to drive and he liked to turn to sober, and I said, never again.
Who was Harry Steele? Where was he from?
Chicago.
Was he, what, was he in the record business or in
No, he
publishing?
just done the commercials, didn't he?
Announcing.
Announcing.
He was
He
an
worked for
announcer.
the,
Drug trade,
mm,
Consolidated Drug Company in
I see.
Chicago.
So he announced and put in the ads and everything else. Well, now in these later ones, the ones that I have, the ads aren't on the transcriptions.
No, they cut them open, you know, so you could put the commercials in between the songs. That's the way we done them
Mm-hmm.
there. They didn't do the commercial right there.
They cut them separate. didn't they?
Yeah. See, they put them in, or the announcer that run the transcriptions read those commercials in there, you know,
I see.
run them in there.
Those transcriptions were apparently played a lot. At first, this was just broadcast over XCRA. And then when you went to San Antonio, you say Brother Bill started announcing then?
Uh-huh.
Brother Bill, well, did we have any more announcers?
Slim Reinhardt
Yeah,
done quite
Cowboy
a few.
Slim.
Cowboy Slim Reinhardt done quite a few of them with us.
Who was Brother Bill?
He's just a man.
He's the announcer from the station, or?
No, the drug company sent him, and I don't know where he was
I
from.
don't know where he was from.
I never did know where he came from. They just sent him there, and he was there to do the shows with us.
Was he a young fellow, or?
No, he's middle-aged.
Kind of a middle-aged man.
What were the announcers' reactions to the music?
Well, his Brother Bill, he'd almost shout every time we'd, you know, sing an old hymn.
He really liked that.
He really liked it. He couldn't stand that. He was, I think he was all more or less a minister,
Oh.
church member, you know.
Mm-hmm. So he didn't work for the station at all. He worked for
The
for
company.
Harry Steele, actually,
He
or
worked
running for the
Consolidated Drug.
Consolidated Drugs.
Yeah.
I don't know whoever was running that company. Yes.
Harry O'Neill.
Harry O'Neill had the company.
Mhm.
I see. Well, when was it that they started broadcasting these transcriptions on other stations besides Del Rio?
Well, it wasn't too long, was it? After we
I don't think so. In fact, I don't know
don't
exactly,
remember.
because they would never tell us, you know, anything.
Mhm.
And they could have been running them a long time before we even knew it or found out about it. See,
Did it pay any extra money when they put them on the other stations?
no.
For
we
you?
Got so much a week, and that was it.
You got paid for working for them, and they could do whatever they
Yeah.
wanted with them then.
Or what they wanted to do.
Now, the ones that I had, well, that you heard the other night, it sounded just like you were in Monterey. He announced those, and then the station breaks, XET Monterey. How'd they work that? How'd they get those other station breaks on? You know, if you recorded these for each station.
Well, I believe, since you mentioned that we did, that he did do the station breaks on some of them. But it's been so long, I just don't remember what stations.
Mm-hmm.
They made him for, you know, after so long time, they started cutting them for certain stations.
Mm-hmm.
And they would put the station break on there.
They would redub them or make a new copy, and then he would just put on a different station tail.
I
or what?
imagine that's the way they did some of them, but some of them he done them right when we recorded them.
But in any case, you didn't have to record them 2 or 3 times.
No.
It was just once.
No, they could dub them over, you know, for
Mhm.
that if they wanted to.
I wonder how many copies, how many different stations were getting these.
I have no idea.
Well, we know of that one in San Diego, XELO. And there's one at Rosetta Beach. I don't know what the call letters that station was, but that was 2 I know of.
Well, then they had them in Eagle Pass and Del Rio and Monterey, I know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's 5 then.
How about, were they only in the Mexican stations that they had these broadcasts?
I think so. I think the most of them was
Mexican
played in
station.
Mexico, on the Mexican stations.
How's come none of the stations on this side played them?
I believe, though, I believe
I
they
don't
did
know.
run them in Chicago. I think they had one on WJJD for a
Mm.
while.
And how about
And maybe another station or two, I don't know. Because I've heard, and unless they was using the old records, they could have been using just the records.
Mhm.
But I've had people to tell me that they've heard us, there many times from WJJD in Chicago, and it had to be them or just the old records,
Mhm.
one or the other.
How did you get for the records? You told me various ways that you got songs. How about for the transcriptions? You recorded so many more songs on transcription than were ever on record.
Well, just songs I guess we didn't think of.
A lot of them we just learned, and
Had to think up some different. You get tired of singing the same old thing over and
Mhm.
over.
Did you play some of those tunes like Cumberland Gap on personal shows like you did on the transcriptions?
oh, once in a while, I think. And back when we didn't do too many personals after we started working on radio. See, the most personals we did was just after our records started selling, and we worked these little old schools and sometimes churches.
Just
a few of
around
'em.
close home.
Around close home in Tennessee and Kentucky and Virginia. And after we started this radio thing, we hardly ever done any more
Personal.
personals, maybe just one in a great while.
But I was meaning
We
that-
went up in Pennsylvania a few trips in those parks.
Did you like doing personals?
Oh yeah, I don't mind it. I've been doing it for about 35 years myself, and of course, Sarah hadn't done near
I don't care much
near
about
as
it.
much of it as I have.
You prefer the transcriptions?
I'd rather have a steady job on the stations than one.
How did you ever, rehearse or work up the songs for the? Did you work them up mainly for the record companies, or how was that?
Well, we'd rehearse them. We'd have them timed out when we went up there to make them,
We'd usually get them all ready before we went and have them all timed and everything.
All we had to do is sit down
And we
sing.
hardly ever used a word in front of us, did we? Till we got down right toward the last a few times we had to, because we just had so many up here we couldn't remember them all.
Had them timed,
But we'd have them
very
all
many.
timed and all memorized by the time we got there nearly.
We never had to make them over.
Not
hardly.
too many times we didn't.
I guess recording a song has changed a lot since those days.
Oh,
hasn't it?
Lord, yes.
What is the differences? Can you?
Well, now they record everything on tape, And if you make a mistake, all you got to do is just erase it off right quick, Just run it backwards or which way they run it. And then when we started, we recorded them on this big old wax. And if you ruined one of them, it took them quite a while to get it all shaved off. They had to cut it off, and take the whole thing off even.
And then start all over
Start
again.
all over again. And now, if you record on tape like we do now, if you get it all perfect, like you want it, till you get to the last line or the last chorus or something, they can take that off, and you can just cut that one part, and they can splice it on there. So now there's so many ways of doing things now.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it the faster way.
Yeah.
But yet it takes. You say it
Takes
takes
a lot
longer
longer.
time. Why does it
I
take
mean,
longer?
well, they're just more particular now about things, and you have to get things more perfect now than you did then. Back then, when I'd make a mistake, I'd say, I want to do this over. And maybe I'd persuade them to let us do it over, and then they'd come out with the one I made the mistake on. They've done it, haven't they, sir?
Why?
A lot of times.
They'll be certain to do that. It's like
And Mr. Pierce said, well, that makes them listen that much closer. You know, if you make a mistake, they listen for it. If they hear it, and then they go listen again to hear it again.
But those old records, though, was the old wax kind is the best material. They got that clear ring to them.
When you left Texas, where did you go?
Went back home, didn't we?
Went home, and then we went to WBT in
Charlotte, North Carolina.
for 6 months, and that was where we
Wound up.
wound
That's
up.
where I wound up.
In 43.
Yeah.
Well, then what year you left Texas?
We left there in 41, I guess, or 40.
41, I guess.
Well, we left in March of 42, I think, because we'd start in October of one year and wind up the next year in March, see. We just worked through the winter months.
Had this seemed to start a pattern or something, this idea of working at radio stations? This was a new idea to you?
Well, the radio, you know, was better in the winter months. It was better than it was in summer months. And that's why they run these in the winter, I reckon. Was because you could pick up the stations a lot better in wintertime, where most people listen to radio at night more in the wintertime than they did in summertime.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, we just worked this 6 months out of the year, you know.
Even when you were in Texas?
Yeah, October, November, December, January, February, March.
Then what would they have the rest of the year on the radio?
Well, I don't know. They probably run. I don't know what they did. I didn't.
Ran the same
Unless
station?
they kept some of them, you know, talent. I think Lou Childer was out there for 2 or 3 years, maybe. He was there when we went there, and the Pickard family was there when we went there.
And
But
the
they-
Mayoneer, what was it?
Maynard Mountaineers
Yeah.
was
And
there too
Cowboys
for a while.
He lived there.
Yeah, but I'm speaking of Del Rio now. The ones was on Del Rio when we went there was the Pickard family, Lou Childry, and Essie and Kay, the Prairie Sweethearts.
And Rose Dawn.
Yeah, Rose Dawn, you remember her?
Rose Dawn.
Mhm.
What about, when did you write You Are My Flower?
I don't remember
Well-
what year do you?
I don't remember what year, but it was released and out before we went to Del Rio. Quite a while. It must have been in the early 30s.
Where did you learn that tune?
I put the tune to that myself.
You just put the tune together?
I kind of, you know, I used to love to hear the Mexican music, you know, and I just started, you know, kind of messing around with it and came up with that.
But there was a
And we had
Mexican
a-
influence in there, was it?
Well, that's where I got my idea for my tune, was from the Mexican music I had listened to. But these, we had a whole string of lyrics that we got these words out of, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And we just picked them out and put them together out of this thing. And it was, oh, the grass is just as green, I believe, was on there.
What was a poem, you mean? or
Poetry.
Poetry.
Just a long, one of these, what, little books or something?
No, it was just a sheet of about that long, with verses, you know, written out of poetry on. I've still got that thing, I think, somewhere at home.
Really? Just written on one
I
side?
believe I have.
Oh, what
There's
did
some stuff.
become, what went with all of them old ballads we had?
I've got quite a few of them,
I don't have one.
you know. I've got several of them that I had when I was in Texas. you
Used
know.
to have a lot of our programs, you know, had made off. We used to
Yeah,
keep
but I
them.
don't have any of them. I've got a lot of the old songs we sing. Quite a few of them just wrote down on the paper. It's turned yellow. It's so old. Because I went through all of them when I was picking out material for my album, trying to find, you know, what I want to do.
That's interesting. A lot of that came from print, and then you would just fix out a tune for it or something.
Yeah, same with Coal Miners Blues. It didn't have a tune either singing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Prince. Well, I remember.
I don't know how, but I remember us going back up in that hill back
Well,
there
you
to
know,
get it
there'd
from
be a
that
lot of
miner.
people give us a lot of Prince, you know,
Mhm.
poems.
Just give us poems and poetry and
Prince.
stuff that we just
Got a
came
lot
up
of
with
them that
these
way. I mean,
songs.
make our own tune.
Nobody ever thought of even singing those things.
You know? But I remember very well when we went to get Coal Miners Blues, but I tried to tell Archie Green, you know, he was interested in it. It was back up in there above St. Charles somewhere, Pennington
Them
Gap.
coal
you
mining town.
Yeah, he was a coal miner. And
What-
I don't know how we found out about it. I was trying to remember, or maybe somebody told us about him having it or something, you know. And he, I don't know where he got it, whether he wrote them or I don't remember.
I don't know if there's any names to it, any of them. I don't think
there
so.
wasn't
I
any.
think it's just print, just poems, you know.
Had they come out in magazines or in books or?
Must have come out some of them in paper, you know. Looked like they'd been cut out of
Well, I know I used to
books or
cut
paper.
them out of papers, you know, magazines and things like this tune. I don't know who wrote the words to this. You know, this blind boy was singing it down there the other night. That's No One Like Mother to Me. And I got the words from that somewhere, and I put the tune to that one, you know. And another one I wrote that I am so happy. What was that? Da 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 dee dee dee. All of my
Never
life.
forsake you.
Yeah, no,
Never forsake.
That's another one of mine. And another one I didn't write very many myself, but I put a few of them together, you know, or put tunes to them. And Never Forsake You. I wrote that one in Why Do You Cry, Little Darling?
And Buddies
That
in the
was
Saddle.
mine, and Buddies in the Saddle was mine.
Where did you get the words for Buddies in the Saddle?
I wrote them.
Those you just
That is mine.
just took that from scratch, the music
I just
and
took
everything.
that from scratch, and I took Why Do You Cry, Little Darling from scratch. And also Lonesome Homesick Blues was mine. The words and everything, because I was so homesick, then I could have died. I think that was the first one.
That was the first song you wrote?
Yeah. And then I wrote Why Do You Cry, Little Darling? That's when the war broke out, you know, and it's taking them all to war. And I don't know if you've heard it or not, I guess you have. It was on the back of Lonesome Homesick Blues.
That
And Bill
moment.
Monroe used to do Why Do You Cry, Little Darling a lot. I've heard him do it on the Opry a long time ago, just after it came out.
You said that you had always liked that Mexican music. Where had you heard it?
Well, I'd heard it over on the Mexican stations.
When you were living in Virginia?
Yeah.
Did you write any other songs because of that? You know, because of that, hearing the Mexican music?
No, I don't think so. I can't remember anything. Because I don't write too much. I've had quite a few tunes in later years, you know, after I started with my girls.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's one or two in our songbook that I wrote that Don't Wait. It's a hymn. And then another one that I'm one of God's children. I wrote that one. And another one I put the Arthur Smith, I think, or Ruby Moody, one or the other. I bought the words from them in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I put this tune to it. It's called A Vision from Heaven. And we never did record it or do anything with it. But I bought the words off of It's either Ruby Moody or Arthur Smith. I don't know which one. And I know I used to do it a lot when I was on the air in Springfield, Missouri. And I didn't have a title for it, you know. So I gave a little prize for somebody to name it for me, and that's the name I came up with, A Vision from Heaven. I can't remember any of it now, but it's a pretty song. It's a hymn. And another one was I've Got a Home Up in Glory. That was my tune. I bought those words from Arthur Q. Smith. He used to write a lot, you know, and he wouldn't have any tunes. So I have we recorded them for Columbia back, me and the girls, when we first started. I've Got a Home Up in Glory and Don't Wait.
In the early days, you recorded mainly songs that you just knew, that you had just known. And then, I don't know when it was that you started writing songs, or, you know, one of you would start writing the songs or reworking them. I guess AP said that the first song that he ever wrote was Little Darling Pal of Mine. I guess, I don't know, for some reason you just needed a song and couldn't think of anything you knew, or what?
Well, that's, you run out, you know, after a while. After you record 350 songs, they get kind of scarce.
Well, the thing that interested me was that in the early days you recorded the songs that you had known, and then you started writing songs, and then your very last recording session was almost all songs that you had known again, but had never recorded. Things like Blackjack Davy, then the Ship at the Golden Vanity, Singing the Lonesome Sea at the same time, 38.
Waves on the sea. Where did the waves on the sea come from?
I don't know. That's another one that I've known for years.
I think that Ari Blankenbeckler used to sing that when I was a little girl.
Well, you know, Duke used to do, my older brother used to do a lot of those old tunes like that, and he used to play a lot of old banjo tunes, and my mother used to play old 5-string banjo. Like I said, when I was playing a lot of these old tunes, I don't know what I'm playing. I don't know what the name of them are.
And this single girl, married girl, Roy Elam, I heard that. He's from up around Lebanon, Virginia.
What was this man's name that we used to go up there in, and we got Dixie Darling from?
Harmon Jackson.
Yeah, Harmon Jackson. He's the one that first one I ever heard do Dixie Darling.
And Dixie Darling, My Home's in Old Virginia.
Yeah.
Don't Forget the Song.
Don't
is the
Forget the
title.
Song.
Something that interested me was Don't Ever Let the Devil Get the Upper Hand of You.
I don't know where we got that.
No, neither. But I think we got quite a few of those old tunes like that one in No Distinction and
I got that No Distinction and Keep on the Firing Line and 50 Miles of Elbow Room. I learned it from these 70 people, ministers.
well,
Greenville, California.
a
Up
lot.
here.
A lot of those too we got from these, you know, they have what they call a holiness
Yeah.
preachers, revivals, and we got quite a few of them from them too.
Like the Little
Like
Black Train. That's where
Little
we
Black Train, I think, is where we heard that at one of this,
churches.
and it was another one, A Sweet Heaven in My View.
Did you get them from those books or from going to the
Just
church?
here.
Just from hearing them and singing them. And I think that they wrote a lot of them because I've heard a lot of them, you know, that have old tunes that I have known maybe that they write these songs to these old familiar tunes, you know.
That wasn't your own church.
No, there used to be a lot of those people in our country around there, you know, and we would go, and because we never, I mean, there was nothing else for us to do or nowhere to go, you know, we just go.
Go for the curiosity of it.
Just go to hear them sing and, you know, just
Carol.
just enjoyed going. I did. I enjoyed going and hearing them, you know. And we'd walk for miles at home to go to listen to them sing and everything.
You like their
Back
music?
when I was a
Well,
kid.
they did have some pretty
Oh
songs.
yeah, they had real good
Did
songs.
really?
And
Did you want to say anything any more about those? How the later recording sessions had some of the early songs that they knew. That really interests me tremendously. How those some of the songs you'd known for years you did on your very last recording sessions.
Well, we probably didn't think of them.
just
till
didn't think of it, just like I was, like I've been all the last 3 weeks trying to think of something to sing, and you know, and maybe after I work a week I'll think of another one, you know, and somebody will come in and request this, and I say, well, I forgot all about that one. And that's just the way they are. You just can't keep them all in your head.
You just don't think of them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And your style of picking was quite different then too. Weren't you using a flat pick sometimes?
Well, I did some. I still use flat pick a lot, but I don't use it too much. I would if I did certain songs. I'd have to use it, but I just haven't been doing those songs since I've been out here, you know, that I use that pick on. I haven't done any of it.
When did you start using that flat pick? Do you remember how you came to?
Oh, I don't know. I guess back when we did You Are My Flower and stuff like that, and Jealous Hearted Me, and quite a few of them I'd done with like that. And you can probably tell more about when I done it by looking at your list that you have. You know, you know more about when we recorded them and all of that than I do.
I'm interested though in how you started to use that when you've been playing with
Well,
your fingers all the time.
I just, I knew I had to get a different lick because it was a faster tune and I couldn't do it with the picks. I had, my brother had played, and he always used a flat pick, you know.
I'm gonna make a whole tape on guitar style.
Oh.
I want to get later on. What was the role of the A&R men these days? Did it change from the beginning to, let's say, in 41 or 40? You know, did they treat you any differently? Did they say we want a certain kind of song, or?
They always took anything we took up there. It didn't matter. I don't think they ever turned one down. No, they ever did.
No.
They'd take everything we took, and sometimes I'd say, well, this song don't make sense. It don't sound right. The words are not worded right, you know, and everything. You say, well, that don't make no difference. And they just take them right on. I mean,
Like I was, I didn't want to sing that single girl, married girl.
yeah.
Mr. Pierce said, now you didn't want to sing that. He had to insist on it. And it was the one that started us off, sold them off. The first 3 records.
But the A&R men seem never to try and push you in any direction,
No.
except for that case of with Jimmy Rogers. They did try and influence you there.
Well, it was their idea that we do that. I mean, we didn't ever thought of it.
Now you say
I
one of
don't
those songs
guess.
was your song and the other was Jimmy's.
The Wonderful City was Jimmy's.
Mm-hmm. And on all of them you picked guitar and he didn't do anything. And
Sing.
yeah, but I mean...
No, he didn't do.
So it was just the
He
two
didn't.
voices and your guitar on both of those.
Mm.
Well, our time is just about, on this tape, it's just about run out, and I want to just get the date on. This is April 24th, and we're at Angels Camp, California, and Mike Seegar and Ed Kahn visiting Sarah and Coy Bayes and Maybelle Carter.